Today, we're diving into the incredible story of Elisha, a man chosen by God to continue the monumental work of the prophet Elijah. His life wasn't just ordinary, it was a testament to obedience, unwavering faith, and the undeniable, awe-inspiring power of God. Elisha's story isn't just a historical account, it's a powerful reminder that the God of miracles is always at work, even in our lives today. So, what made this man so special? How did a simple farmer become one of the most powerful prophets in the Old Testament? Let's explore the journey of Elisha, God's prophet of miracles. Our story begins in a field, where Elisha is plowing with 12 yoke of oxen. He's a hard-working man, focused on his family's farm. But God has a different plan for him. As we read in 1 Kings chapter 19, the great prophet Elijah, guided by God, approaches Elisha. Without saying a word, Elijah takes off his own mantle, a heavy cloak symbolizing his authority as a prophet, and throws it over Elisha's shoulders. This single act was a powerful, nonverbal call from God. It was an invitation to leave everything behind and step into a new, divine purpose. Elisha immediately understands the significance of this moment. He doesn't hesitate or make excuses. He asks for permission to say goodbye to his parents, and Elijah grants it. Then, in a remarkable act of commitment, Elisha slaughters his oxen, uses the plowing equipment for firewood, and cooks the meat for the people. He is literally burning the bridges to his old life. He's all in. From that day forward, he leaves his home, his family, and his livelihood to become Elijah's attendant, learning from him and serving him faithfully. This act of immediate and total obedience set the stage for the incredible ministry that was to come. Years pass, and Elisha serves Elijah loyally. He knows the time is approaching for his master to be taken away by God. The other prophets try to warn him, but Elisha is steadfast. He refuses to leave Elijah's side, following him from Gilgal to Bethel, to Jericho, and finally to the Jordan River. When they arrive at the river, Elijah takes his mantle, strikes the water, and it parts, allowing them to cross on dry ground. It's in this moment, as described in 2 Kings chapter 2, that Elijah turns to Elisha and asks, "Tell me, what can I do for you before I am taken from you?" Elisha's request is bold and specific. He doesn't ask for wealth, fame, or an easy life. He asks, "Let me inherit a double portion of your spirit." This wasn't a request for twice the power of Elijah, but rather the inheritance of a firstborn son, a spiritual heir, ready to carry on the family legacy. He wanted to be the true successor, equipped to continue the mission God had given Elijah. Elijah acknowledges the difficulty of this request but gives him a condition: "If you see me when I am taken from you, it will be yours." As they are walking and talking, a chariot of fire with horses of fire appears and separates the two men, and Elijah is taken up to heaven in a whirlwind. Elisha sees it all. He cries out, "My father! My father! The chariots and horsemen of Israel!" He picks up the mantle that had fallen from Elijah, the very same one that had called him years before. He walks back to the bank of the Jordan River. Now comes the test. Will God answer him as he answered Elijah? Elisha strikes the water with the mantle and cries out, "Where now is the Lord, the God of Elijah?" And just as before, the water parts. God has answered. The double portion is his. Elisha is now God's chosen prophet, and his miraculous ministry is about to begin. With the Spirit of God upon him, Elisha's ministry explodes with miracles that reveal God's immense compassion and power. His works showed that God cares deeply for the everyday struggles of his people. One of the first and most touching stories is found in 2 Kings chapter 4. A widow of a prophet cries out to Elisha in desperation. Her husband has died, leaving her in debt, and the creditor is coming to take her two sons as slaves. She has nothing left in her house except a small jar of olive oil. Elisha tells her to go and borrow as many empty jars as she can from her neighbors. He instructs her to go inside, shut the door, and start pouring the oil from her one small jar into all the others. By faith, she obeys. Miraculously, the oil doesn't stop flowing. It continues to pour, filling every single jar she had gathered. Only when there are no more empty jars does the oil finally stop. Elisha then tells her to sell the oil, pay off her debts, and live on the rest. Through this miracle, God not only provided for her financial needs but also saved her family. But God's power through Elisha wasn't limited to provisions. It extended to life and death itself. In that same chapter, we meet the Shunammite woman, a wealthy woman who had shown great kindness to Elisha. In return, God had blessed her with a son in her old age. But tragedy strikes when the boy suddenly falls ill and dies. The heartbroken mother lays her son on Elisha's bed and travels to find the prophet. When Elisha hears the news, he goes to her house. He enters the room where the child lies, shuts the door, and prays to the Lord. He then lies on top of the child's body, mouth to mouth, eyes to eyes, hands to hands. As he stretches himself out on him, the child's body begins to grow warm. The boy sneezes 7 times and opens his eyes. He is alive. Elisha has raised a child from the dead, demonstrating a power that belongs to God alone. Elisha's ministry also crossed national and social boundaries. In 2 Kings chapter 5, we meet Naaman, the commander of the army of the king of Aram. He was a great man, a valiant soldier, but he suffered from leprosy. An Israelite servant girl in his household tells him about the prophet in Samaria who could heal him. So, Naaman travels to Israel with gifts and a letter from his king, seeking healing. When he arrives at Elisha's house, Elisha doesn't even come out to meet him. He simply sends a messenger with a strange instruction: go, wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan River, and your flesh will be restored, and you will be cleansed. Naaman is furious. He expected a grand spectacle, a dramatic prayer. He scoffed at the idea of washing in the muddy Jordan when he had better rivers back home. But his servants wisely persuade him, if the prophet had told you to do some great thing, would you not have done it? How much more then, when he tells you, wash and be cleansed? Humbled, Naaman goes to the Jordan and dips himself in the water 7 times, just as Elisha had commanded. And just as God had promised, his skin is restored, becoming as clean as a young boy's. This miracle wasn't just about physical healing, it was a lesson in humility and obedience. It showed that God's power is available to everyone, not just the Israelites, if they are willing to trust and obey His word, no matter how simple it seems. Beyond individual miracles, Elisha's story powerfully illustrates God's divine protection over His people. At one point, the king of Aram is at war with Israel and is repeatedly frustrated because Elisha, through divine revelation, warns the king of Israel of every planned ambush. Enraged, the Aramean king sends a massive army with horses and chariots to surround the city of Dothan and capture Elisha. As we read into Kings chapter 6, Elisha's servant wakes up early in the morning, goes outside, and sees the city surrounded by the enemy. He panics and runs to Elisha crying, "Oh no, my lord! What shall we do?" But Elisha is perfectly calm. He reassures his terrified servant with one of the most powerful statements of faith in the Bible: "Don't be afraid. Those who are with us are more than those who are with them." The servant is confused. All he can see is the enemy army. So Elisha prays, "Lord, open his eyes so he may see." And the Lord opens the servant's eyes. When he looks again, he sees the hills full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. A heavenly army, invisible to the natural eye, was there all along, standing guard. This event reveals a profound spiritual truth: God's power and protection are always present, even when we can't see them. Our fears often come from a limited perspective. Faith allows us to see beyond the visible circumstances and trust in the unseen reality of God as sovereign care. The story of Elisha is a rich tapestry of faith, obedience, and divine power. From his dramatic calling to his incredible miracles and the unseen armies of heaven, his life teaches us timeless lessons. It shows that radical obedience to God's call, like leaving the plows behind, opens the door to an extraordinary purpose. It demonstrates that God's compassion extends to the widow, the grieving mother, and even the foreign commander He cares about our every need. Most importantly, it teaches us that faith allows us to see beyond our fears, to see the chariots of fire that surround us. The God of Elisha is not a distant figure from the past. The book of Hebrews tells us that Jesus Christ is the same yesterday and today and forever. The same God who parted the Jordan, multiplied the oil, raised the dead, and healed the sick is still at work in our world and in our lives today. Elisha's story is an invitation for us to trust more, to obey more, and to open our eyes to the miraculous ways God is moving all around us. Like and share this video if this story strengthened your faith. May God bless you.